What if I told you that Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's idyllic romance, which was hailed on social media as a love ideal, actually smells like Jim just tore off the bandage off a 10-year-old? So emotionally and spiritually, get ready, because it doesn't only smell fishy. Love wound, and they couldn't even clean what was flowing out with a gallon of bleach. Not even VH1 producers saw it coming, Jim. It's the kind of muddy heartbreak that makes hip-hop and love feel like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and he went nuclear. Just speak up. Speaking about dubious recordings, distorted loyalty games, guilt, tactics, and a relationship so toxic that Instagram attempted to flag the details as emotionally distressing. So the question now is, was Chrissy ever truly in love? Or was this all a long-running scam? Why did Jim say that she had Chanel pearls and red bottoms? More importantly, what evidence does he have to support going this far? This isn't simply a horrible breakup. Love is stifling and deliberate. Jim just ditched everyone, so turn off your alerts, grab some munchies, and get ready, because this is an emotional crime scene that is being shown to the world. Nasty secret throughout Chrissy's meticulously staged story, and because there isn't a single press release that will make things right after this storm. Let's take when Jim and Chrissy initially appeared on our screens. They deceived the entire society by arranging lavish vacations and budget-friendly proposals. They were supposed to be the pair who made hip-hop love seem real in rings that went viral. But Jim is now openly accusing them of lying. It is a calculated ruse disguised as romance, and fans are also gasping because the delusion is quickly dissolving. Let's go back a few years. Chrissy positioned herself as the ride-or-die lady who stood by Jim through street fights, label disputes, and that embarrassing proposal rejection that persisted. Rentrée in VH1 reruns, but Jim claims behind the scenes that she was locking him up rather than holding him down in what insiders are referring to as a Jim admits, in a leaked emotional breakdown that was delivered to his inner circle, that the love was never liberating but rather confined and dominating. Let that rest for a moment. This is the same guy who brought us We Fly High Now. He was calculating when he said that it was love on a leash, and I wasn't the one holding it. He acknowledges that he was grounded in the worst way imaginable, and claims that their entire affair was based on emotional blackmail, mental games, and the love that accompanied Jim stated all of this under oath. That is, at a sealed deposition, connected to a different VH1, and it wasn't simply side talk. Jim fired so many emotional bombs during the linked case that the court stenographer had to call a break. One court official said his voice sounded exhausted. But at last, this wasn't testimony. Rather, it was a thorough purge supported by proof. Let's talk about receipts. It seems that Chrissy maintained a thorough relationship. Ledger, an actual spreadsheet that records every penny she has ever spent on things like gym memberships, flights, clothes, bail money, haircuts, grills, and even teeth whitening trays. Reported with interest, but this is where it gets twisted. Once, when Jim requested space, Chrissy allegedly used the spreadsheet as a weapon during a fight. Said, "I'm not going anywhere," in response to 82 on 311 by 47. This isn't love. This is a beauty influencer conducting a hostage negotiation with Excel, and the documentary series is called Lipstick, and it claims that she shopped around to 3 networks without including Jim Jones, an executive. Chrissy responded, "No, but that's my version of events," to the question, "Is Jim attached to this project?" At that very moment, the deal fell through. But wait, this isn't the end of the mess. This is where the distinction between outright sabotage and public scandal begins to blur. What followed wasn't just shade. It was an earthquake in the courtroom when Cameron entered it as though karma herself had called him. No PRA file folder labeled Confidential C+J has a ton of Chrissy's proof. There is no showbiz strut or smile. The perfectly planned kingdom didn't merely tilt, it began to fall apart. A courthouse employee characterized Cam's arrival as a serene prior to a legal cyclone. He came to settle old scores and present receipts when prosecutors launched that case, not to offer support to anyone. The first page of the folder everyone froze showed a high-resolution bank scan, but it didn't have Jim's name or even Chrissy's. Instead, it said Christina Santiago with the same birth date. Chrissy's prior beauty brand was once associated with the same address, although the account offshore Cayman Islands had suspicious 25K, 50K transactions. On the 4th page, a juror asked for a break. No joke. Sometimes 80K is entirely marked as consultancy services for a TV company that doesn't even exist in any legitimate records. However, After warming up, Cam revealed yet another shocking detail: an invoice trail connected to a women's empowerment organization Chrissy led during her purported recovery. Era Cam's legal team revealed shocking information about over $190,000 in donor funds that were purportedly transferred to private companies connected to how did Chrissy's personal brand spend that money on image consultants, glam squads, and promotional photos instead of empowerment? There was even a line item titled, "Chrissy appeared to be short-circuiting her clenched jaw twitching by now," and the reunion episode wardrobe was indeed supposedly utilizing charity money to stunt on reality TV. She didn't blink or flinch when her lawyer leaned in and murmured something to her fingers. Instead, she just stared straight ahead, locked in the limelight of the courtroom. Then the video showed a Miami Chrissy in high heels pacing in a pixelated hotel corridor, her phone held to her ear, and the audio muffled as if she had just received bad news. However, it's very obvious that I told you that if Cam speaks, we're done since he has backups and proof. I ordered Jim to stop talking, but he refused to listen, so I left the room. Became silent, but Chrissy's attorney quickly raised a privacy objection, and the prosecution clapped back. The judge acknowledged that the video was legitimately obtained by a subpoena. It was turned into evidence as Chrissy's entire picture of the strong ride-or-die woman was dissolving and being replaced by a portrait, just as she had dreaded, of deceit, manipulation, and potentially fraud. And then the last nail in the coffin appeared, a former VH1 production assistant whom we'll name C, with a trembling voice. However, Chrissy was prepared to destroy anything she said. She used to bribe us by slipping money under the table to edit scenes that made her appear bad. I saw her threaten A. The jurors flinched, and Chrissy eventually buried her face in her palms, but C wasn't finished yet. The senior editor once warned him that if he showed the film, he would never work again. She submitted fictitious invoices and claimed reimbursement for travel expenses for shoots that never took place, including one trip to Turks and Caicos, which she referred to as script development. However, I was present on her birthday, and Cam remained ice-cold and silent in the gallery the entire time. Calmness, as if he didn't have to talk anymore because the truth was already being blaring from the courtroom speakers, while outside, the bloggers covering the judicial chaos were live streaming on Instagram, sharing updates every 2 minutes, and Twitter was on fire. One of the ruthless jokes had Chrissy crying. Another featured Cameron strolling with the remark, "When you bet the house on manipulation and it goes for closure." Out in shades with a reality TV camera and a courtroom camera, but the most brutal split shot is the one on the right side of which shows Jim and Chrissy grinning during the VH1 years. A black SUV pulled up to the side entrance of the courthouse just as the drama reached its climax in courtroom sketches featuring the headline, "Power Couple" or "Power Scam." With merely a sweatshirt, bags under his eyes, and a look of quiet resolve, he went right past photographers and entered the courtroom like a ghost, reappeared on the scene, sitting behind Cam with his arms crossed and his lips pressed together. The judge asked, "Would you like to speak?" inquired, and Jim calmly and quietly replied, "I just want the truth out, I didn't know." Chrissy just needed 4 words. Jim simply walked out again after standing turned and whispering something inaudible, and that video went viral with tens of thousands of reposts. Within minutes, hundreds of TikTok tabloids display large red headlines, and Jim leaves Chrissy in complete quiet. Following Jim's final departure, Chrissy sobs. Look, Cameron unleashed a huge firestorm instead of bombs, and just when you thought the turmoil was at its height, the court wasn't finished yet. This time, the evidence was a voice tape of Mama Jones herself, time-stamped from just a year ago. The message was quiet but profound. It's poetry, brutal, and right to the bone, and you believe that lady loves you because she loves control. Wake up before you lose your soul and your money, and guess what? The judge didn't only nod. Instead, he issued an order because immediately, following that memo, prosecutors dropped the hammer and joined forces with federal authorities to examine Chrissy's financial background in greater detail. Subpoenas were being sent out to look into her past production budgets, nonprofit registrations, and business. Records dating back years show that her former manager of the company was formally under federal investigation. If these charges are confirmed, we're talking about tax evasion. The courtroom virtually froze when Chrissy fell into her chair, unable to speak or cry. Just a thousand-y stare, against fraud and perhaps possible RICO charges. Cameron, in utter shock, got up, buttoned his blazer, and walked out quietly, leaving no mic drop or final glance behind him as the empire burnt. That wasn't the end, boss, because Yandandi Smith entered the room as the public was riveted to every leak, video, and digital flame. Narrative, and she didn't come to watch. Instead, she came to speak out. As Yandi takes the stage, new adversaries emerge from the past, and Chrissy's meticulously protected. If you thought Cameron's folder was the grand conclusion, you were mistaken. The courtroom had hardly any cards. It's like a house of cards meets an unstoppable wind. Cooled off when the doors sprang open once more, and the name that made Chrissy wince came in with no warning: Yandandi Smith. She stormed in without a back door, right through the front heels, echoing baby hairs, while holding a Bluetooth device in one hand and a folder in the other. Her attitude was icy as reporters yelled at her outside. Yandandi looked into one of the cameras and stated, "I had her say, now it's my turn," as the name paparazzi's jumbled cameras flashed like warning bullets. The world seemed to be closing in on Chrissy, who was already anxious and wearing a sweatshirt with her face down and little makeup. Jim, Cameron, and even Mama Jones had departed the bench. However, Yandandi was imprisoned after being sworn in, and her first words hushed the crowd. "I remained silent for 10 years out of respect, but today I speak to Lev," and after that, she lighted the match. According to Andy, Chrissy allegedly ran a "what does the term backstage narrative control ring mean?" Bribes, threats, pressure on editors, and pressure on producers are all purportedly intended to change the story. One scene during a reunion, tape that made Yandi the antagonist while ignoring Chrissy's real-life mess, hit me like a ton of bricks, and I panicked. Chrissy, who was the one who informed my ex that I was being extra for screen time, attacked backstage, where I would be so he could corner me, and surveillance captured it. They paused the video, and Chrissy blinked once before staring at the floor as like it might engulf her, but Yandandi wasn't even halfway through. She took out printed, time-stamped emails, including one from Chrissy to a showrunner. Another Yandas used to backlash, saying, "If I look bad, the whole show looks bad, clean it up. She'll survive, but I won't boss her." After the burner phone, Yandi's legal team gave over an old phone that Chrissy supposedly used, proving that this wasn't drama, but rather dark arts PR warfare. During her tenure on the show, she exchanged messages with off-the-record insiders to plan fictitious drama, paid feuds, and hush money for support. One message in the cast discussions on which film to bury said, "Give her $1,500, explain it was a clothing return, and have her sign something so she cannot talk." The courtroom trembled, and suddenly, without warning, the unexpected turn of events revealed that Yandandi and Cameron had been working together for months to create a timeline and digital forensic trail of all the alleged nefarious actions. Chrissy took between 2011 and Twitter exploded once more right now, with hashtags flying like confetti. Yandandi unedited Chrissy Gate, The True Love, and hip-hop strategy Chrissy in court, hoodie up, head low, Yandandi on the stand, pearls shining, CEO-like posture, silence, no more blogs posting side-by-side memes. Tokbroke one person commented, "She didn't clap back, she held the whole thunderstorm for 10 years, while another Yandandi took screenshots of it frame by frame. Just when it appeared like Chrissy couldn't take it anymore, the prosecution released the last audio file that was forensically confirmed to be a clip from 2019 showing Chrissy speaking with a VH1 producer over the phone. If we reveal that Jim is depressed, it will divert attention. His mental state makes me appear to be a saint once more." The judge even took a big breath, and the bailiff appeared to be Jim was about to give up. But just when everyone thought he had dipped for good, he resurfaced in court with his legal team by his side, unchained and without a word. The judge asked Jim if he wanted to speak, and he stood there looking at Chrissy and said, "I just want the record straight, I didn't." "No," with only weary eyes and legal documents. 4 words, Chrissy crumbled, she stood mouthed something towards him. "Maybe, please." That clip went viral, TikTok stitched its reels, and Twitter declared it the quietest microphone. Jim shook his head and left again. Dip in the history of TV scandals. He wants to ensure that nothing related to him is included in any legal actions or criminal investigations. He has done this to protect her, and the gym sent in a stack of documents, including property deeds, bank information, asset records, and a private letter detailing years of suspected manipulation and financial abuse. But in retrospect, it wasn't love. Rather, it was one line from that letter that froze in the courtroom. For her own survival, Chrissy simply gazed at the floor in silence without blinking or responding. And the court wasted no time in, "This court finds reasonable cause to begin." A criminal investigation into claims of fraud, the judge declared, slamming down the gavel. Due to coercion and financial malfeasance, Ms. Lampkin is prohibited from traveling and is required to relinquish control of all active business accounts. Suddenly, her companies shut down her image, destroying Chrissy and Jim's love story. Just when it appeared that after the tale was finished, Mama Jones released a teaser for her own documentary series. They attempted to remove it, but I managed to save everything. The eerie soundtrack, the grainy black and white video of Chrissy at invitation-only events, and the commentary about how some women create their own legacy while others take it over. If this isn't the most outrageous, messy, and content-rich debacle in the history of hip-hop reality TV, I don't know what is, since it's not only the one disorganized receipt at a moment, the fall of a couple is destroying a dynasty. What comes next? Chrissy's legal team is frantically chasing down the IRS, sniffing about, and, according to rumors, Mona Scott's proposal for a love and hip-hop spin-off that is already popular in group chats is lock up the Lampkin files, and guess who is said to... That's it, Andy Smith. From fabricated plots to covert wire transfers, burner phones, and blackmail, the Chrissy and Jim story didn't just come to an end. Detonated. And the fallout now belongs to the federal government, blogs, subpoenas, and a merciless public. However, the true question is, was this ever love? One red carpet and phony proposal at a time, Chrissy is creating her own fantasy. Do you believe Jim was duped and deceived? Or is this just a cruel, what about Yin Dandy, the truth teller with receipts, or the chess player with impeccable timing? Share your unvarnished thoughts in The Split, disguised as a Netflix thriller. If you're still watching, you're already a part of the jury hit, so feel free to leave comments about who's real, who's false, and who's next. Turn on those alerts, because when the next leak occurs, and if you want to be in the front row of the next explosion, press that subscribe button. You won't want to listen to it. Secondhand, this is more than simply a scandal. Is reality. This is battle. This is receipts. TV turned confession stay in courtroom. Prepare to remain merciless, and we'll see you in the upcoming expose. What's next?